I'm going to show you the game. This is what we talk about when we discuss the myth at hand. This is Feijão com Arroz, her album, Rice with Beans, Beans with Rice. Notice how the contrast you have here. This is Daniela Mercury, and this is a visual artist that's with her. And this is a woman too, which you can't tell just looking at the back right here. But notice the contrast. So you look at her and you're like, okay, she's quote unquote Brazilian, which we conflate a lot of times race with nationality. To me, she looks morena clara or pretty much white. Even in Brazil, I mean, she would be considered white. Here in the United States, we have just this perception of people. We make Hispanic a race when it's not. It's simply an ethnicity because you can be black and Hispanic, Asian and Hispanic, white and Hispanic, indigenous and Hispanic. But the way people are in the United States, we lump everything together. Um, it's very minimalistic. It's very dumbed down. That's the way things are done here, though. You know, we have the one drop rule, which probably has a lot to do with that. And so we just put people in these categories. If you look any way black whatsoever, you're considered black. This was enforced through the courts. This has a historical precedent in the United States. Brazil, not so much, but I believe that the one drop rule is also influencing Brazil more and more. So you have this visibly, again, in the United States, maybe she looks more ambiguous. To me, she looks white. In Brazil, she's white. Anywhere she's white, but she's from Salvador, Bahia. Salvador, the city, Bahia being the state in Brazil in the Northeast that has this high concentration of blacks. And so people in that area are normally going to gravitate towards black culture, African culture, because that's, you know, the heart of the culture, especially in Brazil, comparing even within the country. This is where you have a big carnival. We think Mardi Gras is big in New Orleans, but the one in Brazil, the ones down there are way bigger. Even some of the ones in Latin America are bigger than the one in Mardi Gras. But you really see black culture on display during those events, especially too. But you see the visual game here, this racial democracy stuff. Um, this is just one picture. I'm going to show you a few more. See what I mean? Notice the use of another black person because again, she's selling to people that she's black. I think she's went on the record a couple of times and she took a lot of flack for it, basically identifying as a black person. She would have the different hairstyles. But you see here, again, this is the image that's been sold. And this is through music. I mean, she's a musician, she's an artist, but still, when you see these images, something's been sold to you. And this association with blackness, you know, you have a person that from the outside, they're like, okay, well, she's probably black too, because I mean, look at the other person, they're black, so of course she's black too, right? She's just lighter skin. And that's the game display because again, I showed you the original picture. And I don't want to make this all about race, but I'm just making a point. There's a game in play. I mean, she has naturally curly hair, and she probably has some black ancestry. But I have white ancestry. I have almost 20% white ancestry, but I don't identify as white. But you have people in Brazil who are like 15% black in their DNA, which isn't the only component of a person when you talk about like what race is, which is actually a social construction. It's societally based, but it comes from something, the whole idea of race. But these people are identifying as black in some cases, even though they have like 15% ancestry and the rest is European. They may have some American Indian ancestry. But you see the gameplay because look at this image versus that image. And then you also go to this one right here, the tribal sort of dynamic that's being used in the image right here. Soda Libertagia, I think is the name of this album cover right here. Um, let's see if there's another one I can get. Again, notice the inclusion of the different cultural dynamics in Brazil when you talk about race. There's always a black person. If you look at all of her covers, look at the transformation of Daniela Mercury over the years. And yes, I'm using her as an example because this is the perpetuation of the racial democracy myth. You're seeing it right here visually. You have this man right here, clearly a black person in Brazil, and then you have this woman here who could be a Mary Indian, and also she may have some black ancestry. But that's common in Brazil. Even the white people in Brazil have visibly black ancestry, but that doesn't make everyone black just because they have some black ancestry. But this is very confusing to Americans. And people in Brazil who perpetuate the myth understand that this is confusing to people who aren't accustomed to discussing race and this discourse around race. And so they use this to project these images. They put them in the brochures. Look at Brazil. Look at all these people. We get along so well. Look, even the whites are so understanding of black culture. Even the whites are black. And so it gives you a bunch of confusing signals.